Son Christ. Shalom. Yahweh Shem Shabbat. To the brothers of Yahweh Shem Allah Shem Shah, to the sisters. You know what I'm saying? It's the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Out here in Durham, North Carolina. It's the Monday night history class. Priest Officer 50,1 holding it down. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I.S.U.P.K, 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Under Commander General Yana. You know what I'm saying? Teach the truth. Shalom. Teach the truth according to the Bible. You know what I mean? That blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are the true Jews that the Bible speaks of. You know what I mean? That are oppressor. You know what I'm saying? The man, the people that are controlling this earth. You know what I'm saying? Are the wicked, the devil that the Bible speaks of. You understand?
That's right.
You know what I mean? And in this particular Monday class, it's the history class. You know what I mean? And this will be going to some articles and topics. You know what I'm saying? Dealing with the past, showing you that, you know, according to the scripture. Well, let me actually go into the scriptures and get it real fast. I'm gonna get 2 scriptures. You know what I'm saying? Real quick. But shucks a lot. This one. So first I'm gonna start off with this one that I always start here on out. I'm starting my own. What's that, Christ? Water, brother.
You want some ice?
I like a cup with the ice. Like, just give me that top cup. Just like that, the water. One more. You got some. Just see me in one of these cups.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. The water, brother. Most in Christ. Appreciate it. So I'm gonna start off. Block you. I'm saying was always start off.
No.
Oh yeah. Always. Oh, you know what I was saying? I thought you had something with you.
Oh yeah, I got some strong.
That's what brother. You gotta learn to read minds, brother.
Oh, I know. When you first said it,
right. Oh yeah. Okay. So I missed you. Okay. No sweat. No sweat. No, you too wild, brother. No sweat. You too wild. So like you. Right. I'm young Zornish, but.
So.
Yeah. So.
You don't drink. I'm suave.
Yeah. So the water, though, brother.
I get a little aggressive.
Right. So first things first, I'm gonna start off with the scripture right here. The book of Romans, chapter 15 and verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people, you know what I'm saying, like, that's the 12. I'm sorry, correct. A lot of people who don't know the scriptures, who don't know the scriptures, you know, they, especially in that Christian church, they love to, you know, parade around as soon as you bring up a scripture in Jeremiah, you know what I mean, Deuteronomy, Exodus. First thing they say, what book you reading now? You reading out that Old Testament. That's the Old Testament. Just if you gotta get the water, brother. I'm sorry, Christ. Yeah, that's old. That ain't got nothing to do with what's going on now. That's what they love to say. You know what I'm saying? But of course, they ain't gonna talk about the fact that that tithe that they collect, them tithes, is right smack dab in that Leviticus. You understand? Smack dab in that Deuteronomy. All of a sudden, when it comes to that, then the Old Testament matters. You understand? That's when the Old Testament is still valid. You know what I'm saying? But if you talk about the fact that being you can't be a whore. You know what I'm saying? You can't be on the stripper pole. You know what I mean? You can't sell drugs to your people. You can't be a murderer. You can't rob your people. You can't steal from your people. You understand? All of a sudden, when you have to have when the Bible tells you you can't do these things that to you are beneficial or you know what I'm saying, that make you feel good, that's when it's all done away with. But that's not what the Bible says. Okay? Let me read from the top. The book of Romans, chapter 15 and verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we, through patience and comfort of the scriptures, might have hope. That's why this history class is so important. You understand? Salakia. Salaki. Oh, you swallow. Yeah. Thwada. That's why this class is thwada, brother. Thwada. That's why this class is so important. You understand? Because in this school, that's why this school is so important. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to big myself up. The school is important for that very reason. Because through reading these scriptures and understanding our culture, understanding our history, understanding who we are, that's how we have hope. That's how we make it through in this world that hates us. You understand? That's how we survive. That's how we, you know what I'm saying, keep our strength, man. That's how we do it. Not by pretending that the Old Testament don't exist. Not by pretending that history don't exist. Because if that's the case, then don't they tell you to forget about slavery, right? Isn't that what they tell us? They tell us, slavery was a long time ago. They say that, Emmett Till was a long time ago. But when I turn on my news, I see an Emmett Till happening every week. You know what I'm saying? When we go to that slave, I see slavery happening every day. You understand? Make no mistake about it. We in slavery, we in captivity. You know what I mean? That's what we living in. So history just repeats itself. So let me finish this out. We just part again that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. Drop that, brother, if you can. Bob, before we get into this topic, could you give me Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 9?
Sure.
I might start every class with both of these. I might alternate. I don't know. I might do both.
1 and 9, you said?
Okay. Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 9.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1, verse 9.
This is why we do this, man. This history class. You don't have a history class in your Christian church. You don't have a history class in your Muslim mosque. You know what I'm saying? But there's a history class going on in every city. You know what I'm saying? Every major city in America right now under the I.S.U.P.K. You know what I'm saying? Under Commander General Yahan. You know what I'm saying? Because we understand the scriptures and how important it is to always remind ourselves of what has happened, and because it's always been happening and continues to happen. So go ahead and read that, brother.
The thing that hath been.
The thing that hath being, you know what I'm saying, past tense. You know what I mean? That's that, that old Quaker English, you know what I mean? That Shakespearean English for has. Because if somebody has been, what's that mean? That means it happened before. There has been because they were the thing before, right? So that's in the past. Keep going, brother.
It is the things that have been. It is that which shall be.
Read that one more time.
The thing that hath been. It is that which shall be.
What's that saying? Yeah, bro.
The things that happened in the past is going to repeat itself or are continuing to happen.
Most High in Christ. That's it. Keep reading.
And that which is done is that which shall be done.
Go ahead, and this is going to explain it, right? Go ahead.
And there is no new thing under the sun.
It's just over and over and over. It's not new. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we go into this history, to remind you of that. To remind ourselves of it. To make sure that we keep in mind, you understand? We've been here before. Or better yet, we never left Salaki. You know what I'm saying? We've been under captivity, under captivity, under captivity, under captivity. Why do we keep going into captivity, after captivity, after captivity, after captivity? Because we didn't want to listen, and didn't want to listen, and didn't want to listen, and didn't want to listen. And wanted to do what we wanted to do, and just keeps happening every time. We do what we want to do, we go into captivity. Then all of a sudden we wonder, where is God in this? Why, Lord? Why am I in this situation? Why am I in the ghettos of America? You understand? That's the question we ask. But at the end of the day, we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. You know what I'm saying? And Commander General Yahana, you know what I'm saying? Barakatah Yahweh Yahushua for that, brother, man, for maintaining this truth. You know what I'm saying? And proliferating it. You know what I'm saying? When nobody else would do it. When nobody else had the courage to stand, you know what I'm saying? To stand with those who had come before them and maintain what they were taught. They wanted to go do their own thing and be the man somewhere else. what I'm saying? They wanted to have the juice now. You know what I mean? But that brother stood tall in this truth. And now we right, you know what I'm saying? We right back where we're supposed to be. And continuing to do what we have to do. You know what I mean? So read that from the top one more time.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1, verse 9.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that has been,
Right.
it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done.
Exactly.
And there is no new thing under the sun.
Right. Okay. It's important. So we're gonna get into this today's topic, man. I saw a video. If I could find it, Salakia, I damn sure would show it. But I don't know if I can. But it wasn't funny, but it was funny. Let me see if I can get it. And long story short, I don't know if y'all saw this, but I might go like this. If I type in these words, this might work. Basically, it was a video of a sister, right, yelling and going off, going crazy at an abortion clinic. She basically, I don't know if she had just gotten an abortion, but long story short, these, you know what I mean, these colonizers, right, were there, and they were the type that, you know, go in front of the abortion clinic with the picket signs, and abortion is murder, and this is against God, and all that, right? It was those type of dudes. And she was yelling at them, and they yelling at her, like, what you doing is wrong. And she's yelling at them, like, why y'all doing is wrong, y'all harassing me. And at some point in the video, I didn't watch the whole thing, so I got to finish it. It wasn't very long, but I only watched about a minute of it. At a certain point in the video, she says something to the effect of, you know, where was y'all when all these black men getting killed in the streets? Where was y'all? You know what I'm saying? Where was y'all when they shot Ray Ray down the street right there? Where was you at? And the colonizer got quiet for a second because he had nothing to say. He got quiet for a quick second. Like, yo, you care so much about life. Where was you when that happened? Nothing to say. And then the other one was like, you can try to justify it all you want, but you're doing this wrong, whatever. And I'm looking at it and I'm saying to myself, Most High in Christ, because the UPK has been warning black men, Hispanic men, Native Indian men about both of these people since 1969. We have been warning black men about who the devil is. We've also been telling you about how the black woman is supposed to conduct herself, how she's supposed to be. You understand? We've been telling you this. But unfortunately, it goes on deaf ears. But we understand, I understood when I looked at it. I'm like, again, I'm not siding with no colonizers, but I understood what's happening here, and it was just like, oh man, see both of these clowns. This is clowns. This is a bunch of clowns, if you ask me. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, though, what I'm gonna talk about is, because what happened was this sister was a staunch defender of abortion. That's what it was. She was a staunch defender of abortion. She felt like abortion was right, and it's okay, and it's fine, and it's dandy, like a lot of sisters do believe, right? Now, according to the Bible, what is the Bible biblical stance on abortion? Go ahead.
Abortion is wrong, it's murder.
It's what?
It's murder.
Abortion is what?
Murder.
Can you prove it?
Out off the top of my head.
Okay, no sweat. That's what we're gonna do today. Abortion is murder. First things first. I don't really got I got an article to send you, but it's gonna be kind of like towards the end. You know what I'm saying? You don't really need it so much right now. Right? I kind of already got my notes prepared right here, and I'm gonna basically be reading. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just gonna have you read the scriptures for me. Okay? Yeah, that's what we're gonna do today. I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna give you some little, you know what I'm saying, little extra stuff to go with it. But for now, this is really all I need. So first things first, though. let me get Exodus chapter 20 and verse 13. Let's start there.
The book of Exodus, chapter 20, verse 13. Thou shalt not kill.
Thou shalt not do what?
Thou shalt not kill.
Okay, thou shalt not kill. What does that mean? Go ahead, Doc.
It means you shall not murder.
Now, what is the distinction between the two?
Well, killing is justifiable in circumstances, but murder is not.
Okay.
Murder is not justified. Murder is you kill somebody without reason or unprovoked.
Right.
And you take their life.
Okay. Okay. So can you kill a deer? I mean, can you murder a deer?
No.
You sure?
Yeah, you can murder.
How so?
If you're just killing them just to kill them, or for sports, or for his antlers, or something like that, then I think that's murder.
Okay. So what you're saying is that a deer, it would be murder because there's no meaning behind it, pretty much.
There's no need to kill him. There's no real need to kill him.
Right. Most High in Christ. I'll take that. Murder is unprovoked killing. It's the ending of a life without cause, without reason. It's just because you want that thing not to be alive anymore. You understand? So when you kill a deer so that you can eat it, you didn't murder it. You know what I'm saying? Meat is lawful. Deer is a lawful meat, right? So you killed it. You ended its life for the purpose, you know what I'm saying, of consuming it to feed your family, or whatever the case may be. Like when we slaughter them lambs, and which will be happening not too far from now, when them lambs get slaughtered, right? Them lambs are not going to. It's not for sport. They're not just going to lay there and we walk away. No, it's for the Passover. It's for sustenance, right? If a man comes at you with a giant sword and you do some crazy move and slice his throat, did you murder him? Yeah,
No.
Why not?
Because you were defending yourself.
Right. You killed him so he would not do what?
Kill you.
In self-defense. Same thing with it. That same thing with an animal, right? You get attacked by some kind of bear or something that Lord be with you if you're attacked by a bear. But if you were attacked by a bear, right, and you kill it in self-defense, that's what that is. Now, can somebody please explain to me why, based on this scripture, read it from the top one more time.
The book of Exodus, chapter 20, verse 13. Thou shalt not kill.
Give me Deuteronomy 28:56. No, it's like it. Give me one second. I might need wisdom of Solomon. Where's my? You have a pocket phone?
Yeah, I got.
No, I have mine with me. Lock it. Go hold that. Not yet. You're gonna get there in a second. But based on what you just read, based on what we just figured out about murder, right? And to prove it, you know what I'm saying? So lock it. Give me, where's the Zana man? Zana. Lock it. Bear with me. Salakia. That's what I want. No sweat. No sweat. Give me that in the Apocrypha. Give me Wisdom of Solomon 12:5. But before that, no, you 2 hours. 2 hours. Go ahead.
The book of the Wisdom of Solomon in the Apocrypha, chapter 12, verse 5.
Because we read Exodus chapter 20 and verse 13, when it says, "Thou shalt not kill." The Hebrew word there is the Hebrew word for murder. Okay, so when it says "kill" there, right, that's what it says in the English. But the Hebrew word is the Hebrew word for murder, right? The exact pronunciation, I'm gonna get it, but it means murder in Exodus 20 and 13. So it's not talking about, you know what I mean? Again, you slaughtering an animal to eat or something like that, or self-defense. It's talking about you unprovokingly killing a man, right? Go ahead.
Verse 5, and also those merciless murderers of children.
And also those what?
Merciless murderers of children.
Go ahead.
And devourers of man's flesh. And the feast of blood.
Also, it says merciless murderers of children. You understand? That's what we're talking about. We're talking about merciless murdering of children. Why is it murder of a child? Because a child is innocent. They can't have done, there's nothing that they can have done to provoke it. What can they have done? They haven't spoken ill of you. They haven't harmed you. They haven't done anything to you. So in and of itself, it has to be murder. You understand? Because you're just deciding to end the life of something because their existence does what? It inconveniences you. That's like, I don't like that dude. I think this world is better if he's not here. I know I'd feel better. I'm going to get him up out of here. And that's unfortunately what a lot of our sisters have been taught to do. To murder their child because they've been taught what? What is it going to do to their life? What have they been taught? Yeah, Doc.
I mean, it's going to hinder their life.
Right.
Yep. You know, maybe they feel something is going to cause them to be in poverty or to be overstressed in this society.
Right. They've been taught that it's going to be a hindrance to their life. That, they won't be able to go to that school. They won't be able to get that job. They're not going to be able to have that man. Things like that. They've been taught that it is a hindrance to have a child at a certain time. But they didn't get taught not to have sex, right? They didn't get taught that sex is marriage. That's the problem. They didn't get taught that. You know what I mean? They didn't have a priest and prophet in I.S.U.P.K to teach them that, listen, you wasn't ready to be doing that in the first place. You understand? So now we're going to get into a little bit of this history of abortion, right? So I'm going to read this a lot. Okay, right here. This is the history of abortion. Yeah, you put your just type that.
Yeah, I'm gonna get it.
Yeah, that's on first. History of abortion. Over several centuries and in different cultures, there is a rich history of women helping each other to abort. Until the late 1800s, women healers in Western Europe and the United States provided abortions and trained other women to do so without legal prohibitions. The state didn't prohibit abortion until the 19th century, nor did the church lead to repression. In 1803, Britain first passed anti-abortion laws, which then became stricter through the centuries. The U.S. followed as individual states began to outlaw abortion. By 1880, most abortions were illegal in the United States, except those necessary to save the life of the woman. But the tradition of women's right to early abortion was society by then. Abortionists continued to practice openly with public support, and juries refused to convict them. Abortion became a crime and a sin for several reasons, right? So early on, abortion was like not even like a thing that they even thought about, right? They didn't think there was a thing. No problem. That's how it used to be. But then they started to slowly but surely start introducing little things, you know what I'm saying, into the not the curriculum, but into the legal system to start putting shackles on it, to start regulating it a little bit more. One of the main reasons why that happened was because it was dangerous to do physically. It was a physically dangerous procedure. It was surgery. You know what I'm saying? But it was almost dangerous for the woman a lot of times. You understand? So because of that, you know what I mean? They started to feel like, well, just like the doctors, the medical field now, it has a lot of restrictions and things on it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of regulations because people's lives are at stake. You know what I'm saying? And they feel as though, well, you know, it's dangerous just to go ahead and do these procedures without protecting people. You know what I'm saying? And at the time, also, it was very painful. We'll get to that. It was a very painful procedure. They didn't have anesthesia like that, but they had crude forms of anesthesia. Not what we have today. So lucky. Okay, I'm gonna jump to another art. Matter of fact, I might send this to you.
I'm ready.
Yeah, I'll send this to you real fast. Because this goes with what we're talking about right now.
Okay.
Then we're gonna get a scripture. Yeah, this is it. Where you at? Right. What's up, Chris? Now let me know when you got that out. So we go into the history. So obviously, eventually, we're going to get to Roe versus Wade. That's the big, you know, centerpiece when it comes to talking about abortion nowadays. We're before that, right? Let me know you got it.
Okay, I got it.
All right, go ahead
Why
and
the
read that.
state
Brother.
did not prosecute women for abortion.
Yeah, go ahead and read that nice and loud.
Why the state did not prosecute women for abortion before Roe versus Wade.
And what's interesting about that title in and of itself? So the states did not prosecute women for abortion before Roe versus Wade. I'll give it to you. Two things. We just read that in the thing I was reading before, that the states, there was no regulations at first, there were no laws. But slowly but surely, the states started to make their own laws, you know what I'm saying, prohibiting it and making it, you know what I'm saying, a sin, saying it was wrong, right? But Roe versus Wade was what? Yeah.
It was a case to determine whether, you know, abortion was legal.
And what was the result of that?
I don't recall.
Of Roe versus Wade?
Yeah.
Okay. Is abortion, let me think. How do I put it? Is abortion fully legal right now? Everywhere.
Everywhere I know.
Mm-hmm.
It's regulated, but it's legal.
Right.
You can proceed with the procedure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes under certain circumstances, but you can't proceed as far as I know in every state
Mm-hmm.
with an abortion.
Gotcha. Now, let's just see real fast. We're just gonna read this just so that way we know what we're talking about. Roe versus Wade was a landmark decision in the Supreme Court in which the court ruled that the Constitution of the United States protects a pregnant woman's liberty to choose to have an abortion without excessive government restriction. It struck down many U.S. state and federal abortion laws and prompted an ongoing national debate in the United States about whether and to what extent abortion should be legal, who should decide the legality of abortion, what methods the Supreme Court should use in constitutional adjudication, and what the role of religious and moral views in the political sphere should be. So essentially, Roe versus Wade was, all these states had laws prohibiting abortion. Roe versus Wade was a federal decision that basically said that, or put a monkey wrench in that. And like it didn't straight up say, well, you can't do it. It was like, hold on a second. You may not be able to do that. And that really opened the floodgates to where now it was pretty much made legal. You know what I'm saying? Because of how they framed it, of how what it was. It didn't just say openly abortion legal. Roe versus Wade was really about, like I said, it struck down many U.S. state and federal abortion laws and prompted debate about whether and to what extent abortion should be legal, whether and to what extent. So it basically said to all those anti-abortion laws in each state, like, hold on a second, you can't just do that. We got to have a discussion about this. You know what I'm saying? We got to figure this out. And in the meantime, that's why I said national debate. While we're talking about it, abortions are pretty much legal. That's why you couldn't really answer the question, like, you know, because again, it's hard to say. Really, even ask the average person right now if abortion is legal in America. It wouldn't be easy for them to answer it. Because it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I think it's legal. I know people who've done it. They didn't go to jail. You know what I mean? But I also feel like there's certain places where it's not legal. It's one of those type of things. You know what I'm saying? So that's what Roe versus Wade did. It opened the floodgates. So now jump back to the article that you read. Read that title again.
Why the states did not prosecute women for abortion before Roe versus Wade.
Shalom, my Lord.
Shalom. The political claim that women were or will be prosecuted or jailed under abortion laws has been made so frequently by Planned Parenthood, NARAL, and now over the past 40 years that it has become an urban legend. It shows the astonishing power of contemporary media to make a complete falsehood into truism.
Keep going.
For 30 years, abortion advocates have claimed, without any evidence, and contrary to the well-documented practices of all 50 states, that women were jailed before Roe and would be jailed if Roe falls or if the state abortion prohibitions are reinstated.
Right, because the implication, the idea is that a lot of people who are what they call pro-choice, say that Roe versus Wade is such an important, you know what I'm saying, like thing that made it okay for women to have abortions. But what we're reading right now is that, guess what? That's not fully true. That's what I'm saying. It's murder getting abortions. In states where it was, and you know what was happening to them? Nothing. Nobody was being prosecuted. Nobody was going to jail for it. In America, abortion it's always been a thing. Keep going.
Second, the myth that women will be jailed relies, however, on the myth that overturning Roe will result in immediately recriminalization of abortion. If Roe was overturned today, apparently all 50 states, for the simple reason that nearly all of the state abortion prohibitions have been either repealed or blocked by state version of Roe adopted by state courts.
Ooh-wee. Keep going.
This issue is entirely academic.
Mm-hmm.
The legislature of the state would have to enact new abortion laws.
They have to enact new abortion laws, right? So drop down to where it says, how was abortion law enforced? Let's get a quick look about the history of how it was enforced in early America.
How was abortion law enforced? Going back as far as English and colonial law, the criminal, I didn't even know they were doing abortion law back then.
Yes, sir.
Nothing new under the sun. So
what's on Christ?
As far as English and colonial law, the criminal law classified those involved in criminal crime as principals and accomplices. A principal is the person whose act directly brought about the criminal result. An accomplice aids or abets the crime. states did not treat women who had the abortion as either principals or accomplices.
Mm-hmm.
As the Oregon Supreme Court held as late as 1968. The abortionist commits the act, and the woman aborted is the object of the act.
Right, go ahead.
A reading of the statute indicates that the act prohibited rather than the act.
All of that is. What is it saying? Because again, we're about to talk about feminism, because these are the people who are advocating these things. They're the pro-choice people saying that, oh well, it's to protect women. That's what they say, right? What are we reading right now? What is this actually saying? Go ahead,
That the woman she's the victim, actually.
Right. That's what it's. That's how they were treated.
Yeah.
Prior to Roe versus Wade, the government, the state governments, never treated women who had abortions. It's almost like this. We look at it now as a woman having an abortion. In the U.P.K, we know that. She had an abortion. She made a choice. That's why I say pro-choice, pro-life. Before Roe, and they say, well, they overturned Roe versus Wade, they're going against pro-choice. Before Roe versus Wade, it was never looked at as this woman made a choice to murder someone. It was looked at as who murdered it. It was looked at as somebody else committed the crime, and the woman was not an accomplice. She was a victim of that crime. The crime was committed upon her. Who was the person? Who, if anybody was guilty, who was it? It wasn't her. Who was it?
The person that actually physically done the abortion.
The doctor. The doctor. That's who the person who was, if that happened, was targeted. Right? But keep reading, brother. As one legal scholar.
As one legal scholar in the 1980s who studied the issue concluded, after surveying the 50 states, women were never charged with murder, only seldom were named co-conspirators, and still more rarely were regarded as accomplices. While some women were prosecuted for their abortions under the English common law, by the 1870s or 1880s, most American states came to recognize that the better policy was not to prosecute women. That was the position of New York by 1885.
Right. Now, drop down now says, with the exception of 4 state cases, the vast majority of the states with reported cases that discussed this issue determined that states could not prosecute women under any theory of criminal life. No sweat.
State statutes.
No, we good. We're gonna drop this one for now. I'm gonna read some from the other thing. So we just discussed that part. So the history shows that, like I read in the other thing, so I can go back to it. Abortions were already being committed, man. They were already being done. Right? Yeah, in individual states, you know what I'm saying, but they weren't prosecuting women. Don't look at America. America didn't give a damn about, you know what I'm saying, about no abortion, man. Now, we'll talk a little bit about this feminism, right? The term feminism can be used to describe a political, cultural, or economic movement aimed at establishing equal rights and legal protection for, lack of a better word, how do I say this? Female oppressors. We'll put it like that. Female colonizers, okay? Feminism involves that advocates gender equality campaigns for poor and middle class. Salakia, again, I will say women who are oppressors. You get where I'm going with this, right? Those female colonizers, man, their rights and interests. Although the terms feminism and feminist did not gain widespread use until the 1970s, they were already being used in the public parlance much earlier. For instance, Katharine Hepburn speaks of the feminist movement in the 1942 film Woman of the Year. Why is this important? Why am I bringing up feminists, right? Why is this even relevant to this topic? We're going through the history of abortion. We're going to go through scriptures and show you that we already showed you what murder is, right? We're going to keep going through. Why are the feminists important to this? What do they push? Go ahead, Al.
The feminists are important to this because they are the ones who determining factor in any decision for abortion.
Right. So Salakia. Their thing is that, how do I put this? Always look at we're gonna look at the word pro-choice. That's important to this topic. United States abortion rights movement. Again, we just talked about what feminism means. Is a social political movement in the United States supporting the view that a woman should have the legal right to an elective abortion, meaning the right to terminate her pregnancy, as part of a broader global abortion rights movement. The abortion rights movement consists of a variety of organizations with no single centralized decision-making body, right? And it says a key point in abortion rights was Roe versus Wade. Okay, let's see Salakia. State matter. Right. No sweat. Okay. So yeah, so this it says, now this is early history. Feminists of the late 19th century were often opposed to the legalization of abortion. Right? Then the revolution, operated by Elizabeth Cady Stanton, who used to be an anonymous contributor signing A, wrote in 1869 about the subject, arguing that instead of merely attempting to pass a law against abortion, the root cause must also be addressed. Salakia. Right? So early on, they wasn't down with it. But then what happened? Who came out? Who came about after that? I don't want to jump too far ahead. Don't worry. So I'm going to go back to what I'm reading. Because there's a certain person that was a turning point in that. We're going to get to. What was you holding for me?
I was holding, so we was in the Apocrypha, but we read that.
We read that.
And I'm holding the article on the Roe versus Wade.
Come, don't sweat. Stay. Just keep what you're going. I'm gonna read this. Well, first give me Proverbs 3 and verse 31.
3:31.
Right. We're gonna read that, and then we're gonna talk about feminism tying in with abortion. Reading this history, understand that none of the people who were advocating for these things, you know what I'm saying, these people never had our interest at heart. A lot of times it didn't involve us in any way. You know what I'm saying? This was all about this movement was about, you know what I mean, the same women who were oppressing us. The same people who were oppressing us. You understand? So go ahead and read that, brother.
Verse 31. Therefore shall they eat of the fruit of their own way. And
Salakia. Would you read that? Proverbs what?
3 and I'm reading 1 and 31. So
Proverbs 3 and 12. Proverbs 3 and 31.
Oh, good. Verse 31. Envy thou not the oppressor.
That's a I.S.U.P.K. Envy thou not the oppressor. It's important to understand that, because when you envy your oppressor, you get you get, especially as Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians, you know what I'm saying, we're supposed to be on the side of the Most High. And we envy our oppressor, who's the devil the Bible speaks of. We end up doing wicked things. You understand? And we end up getting the short end of the stick.
And choose none of his ways.
None of them. Right? Salakia, real quick, man. I got articles for days. All over the place. Abortion rates continue to vary by race and ethnicity. Lack of access to health insurance and healthcare plays a role, as do racism and discrimination. Abortions per 1,000 women aged 15 to 44. This is the abortions per 1,000 women, and since 2017, black women constituted 27.1% of all abortions. Hispanic women constituted 18.1%. You put those two numbers together, Black and Hispanic women constitute over 40% of all abortions that took place in the United States and continue to lead in those statistics, right? If we were just to look up, let's see, abortions. Very simple. So lock in. This is another article. This is the one. Read that from the top, brother.
Desire not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways.
And choose none of his ways. We lead in abortions. We leave it in all and every single, negative statistic you can think of. In 2016, 623,000 legal induced abortions were reported to the CDC from 48 reporting areas. The abortion rate for 2016 was 11.6 abortions per 1,000 women aged 15 to 44 years. And the abortion ratio was 186 abortions per 1,000 live births. Compared with 2015, the total number and rate of reported abortions fell by 2%, and the abortion ratio decreased by 1%. Additionally, from 2007 to 2016, the number, rate, and ratio of reported abortions decreased 24, 26, 18, respectively. In 2016, all three measures reached their lowest level for the entire period of analysis. Hold on, it's a lot. This is with the summer gestation. Where's the one? It gives me the total number. Is this it? This is it. It's the estimated abortions by race. 2017 is the last year that they recorded, right? So out of, there were 295,000 reported abortions amongst black women in 2017. That's more than half. Now, if you look at the numbers, right? Now check this out. That's more than Caucasian women by about 15,000. Yet there was 2 million reported births, live births of white children. So even though they gave birth to 2 million babies, right? And they aborted 15,000, 1/4 of the amount of children as white women. And if you add in Hispanic 195,000 in 2017. So all told, in 1 year, black and Hispanic women aborted somewhere in the vicinity of 400,000 children, right? Now, if all this is about equality, then why is it not the same for everybody? Why are we dying? Why are our numbers, they're saying the numbers are going down, right? But there's still a large gap between us and other races. You understand? We're still dying at a much faster rate, at a higher rate in terms of the percentages again. Our percentages just do not reflect equality because we're not, that's not what's going on here. There's no equality with this. It was never set up to be equal. It was never about us being the same as them. You understand? It's always been about destroying us from the beginning. You understand? When they do it, it's isolated, it's rare. You know what I'm saying? It's not even pushed in their neighborhoods. Right? Planned Parenthood recruits black. It might be better for your children. Think about your later children. I've heard them say that. Like, it'll make you a better mother in the long run. You know what I mean? If you do it when you're ready. You're just not ready. You have options. That's what somebody told me. I think I talked to somebody who worked in one of the clinics, or someone told me that they had either met someone who worked in the clinic or something, and they're supposed to say to them, you have options. You're supposed to present it to them like, this could be what's best for you and your family. But obviously something ain't happening because the numbers just don't add up here. Everything's on the decline, but if you look at literally the gap between black women and everyone else, it's not changing. Even if, quote unquote, less total abortions are taking place, black women are still leading by a large margin. You understand? So now, drop that scripture you got and give me Salakia. Give me Psalm 37 and 32. Read that real fast. Because we're reading about is a diabolical. It's a completely wicked attempt by people, and it's been going on for years, right? And we've been falling right to the trap. Go ahead and read that, brother. Psalm 37 and verse 32.
Psalms chapter 37, verse 32. The wicked watcheth the righteous.
The wicked does what?
Watches the righteous.
The wicked watches the righteous. Why does he watch the righteous? Why does the wicked watch the righteous? Get up. That's not really the point here. Just finish it. Slap what you got out of it.
He wants to kill him.
Most High in Christ. Finish it out.
And seeketh to slay him.
That's why. That's why. Get up.
You know, I understand that he seeketh to slay him, but I mean, why does he want to slay the righteous man?
Okay. That's a 2-hour question.
Because he's wicked.
Well, that's the simple answer, but let's get the scripture to prove it. Get me let's get a little characteristics of the devil, man.
8 and 44.
Yeah, it'll be John chapter 8, verse 44.
The book of John, chapter 8, verse 44.
This is for all of you black women and black men and Hispanic women, Hispanic men who think that abortion is okay and it's a choice, right? When our babies are dying, you know what I'm saying, in the number of 200,000 every year, right? We only having 500,000 babies. We'll be killing 200. That's an option. That's making us better and stronger. No sweat.
Of your father, the devil.
Who is the person who's talking right here? Get on one. John. And who's he talking to? Yeah. Okay, so then that's Christ talking. John, no sweat. Well, who's Christ talking to? Yeah.
The Pharisees.
He's talking to the Pharisees, right? So he's talking to these religious leaders, man. He's talking to these religious leaders of black who were, you know what I'm saying, they were Israelites. You understand? And he's talking to them because the same read from the top.
Ye are of your father, the devil.
You are your father, the devil. Not literally their father, because these are Israelites. But they're taking on the characteristics, you know what I'm saying, of somebody else they envy. We just read in Proverbs 3 and 31, don't envy your oppressor. That's what the Pharisees did. They did envy their oppressor. So that's why he calls
of your father, the devil.
Keep going.
And the lust of your father, ye will do.
Whatever your father lusts after, that's what you're going to do. If you envy your oppressor and your oppressor hates black men, what are you going to do? You're going to hate black men. You're going to murder black men. You are going to sell drugs to black men. If your oppressor hates Mexicans, what are you going to do? You are going to hate Mexicans. You're going to divide yourselves from Mexicans and say, those are not my people, when they in fact are the exact same as you. You understand? You are of your father, the devil. Whatever he lusts after, that's what you're going to lust after. Keep going. He was a what from the beginning?
A murderer from the beginning.
No, he wanted to hold your hand.
A murderer from the beginning.
He wanted to be friends.
A murderer from the beginning.
Go ahead.
Because there is no truth in him.
There is no truth in him. So when he lies and tells you, oh, Roe versus Wade changed abortion and we need it. No. Women wouldn't, it was never a women issue. Never. Abortions had been taking place. They had been, no matter what the states did, women were not being prosecuted for that. That's a lie. Keep going.
When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar.
Oh, this abortion will be better for you in the end.
He is a liar.
He's a liar. Keep going.
And the father of it.
And the father of lies, man. Right? So let me jump back. It's a lot. Activism focused primarily on gaining political power, particularly the right of women's suffrage. Yet feminists such as Voltairine de Cleyre and Margaret Sanger were still active in campaigning for women's sexual, reproductive, and economic rights at this time in 1854. Right? Now, remember we started to read about Elizabeth Cady Stanton, right? She was early 1800s. And she wasn't really down for abortion. At this time, feminism was still kind of like a housewife thing. It was coming out of that, right? They didn't want to get married. They still were married. You know what I'm saying? They still had husbands. They just wanted a little bit more of a voice, right? It's at the end of the Civil War. There's a lot of political things going on. Obviously, emancipation. They wanted a little bit more. They just didn't want to be black people. They didn't want to sink that. Black people just got free. Don't make us be the same as them. Please let us vote. Let us be, you know what I'm saying? We still better than them, right? I mean, damn, that's how they felt. Okay? Well, let's see. The movement towards the liberalization of abortion law emerged in the 1920s, 1930s in the context of the victories that had been recently won in the area of birth control. Campaigners including Marie Stopes in England and Margaret Sanger in the U.S. had succeeded in bringing the issue into the open. And birth control clinics were established which offered family planning advice and contraceptive methods to women in need. In 1929, the Infant Life Preservation Act was passed in the United Kingdom, which amended the law so that an abortion carried out in good faith for the sole purpose of preserving the life of the mother would not be an offense. Thank you. Stella Brown was the leading birth control campaigner who increasingly began to venture into the more contentious issue of abortion in the 1930s. Brown's beliefs were heavily influenced by the work of Havelock Ellis, Edward Carpenter, and the sexologists. She came to strongly believe that working women should have the choice to become pregnant and to terminate the pregnancy while they worked in the horrible circumstances surrounding the pregnant woman who was still required to do hard labor during the pregnancy. In this case, she argued that doctors should give free information about birth control to women that wanted to know about it. This would give women agency over their own circumstances and allow them to decide whether they want to be mothers or not. So we see it early, man. There's a lot of names being thrown around. But early on, so after the 1800s, right? Margaret Sanger also, she wasn't in the 1900s, right? And after the 1800s, slowly but surely, the feminists are gaining more traction. They're gaining more steam. More and more things they're asking for. More and more things they're seeing about women, especially now that women are starting to work more. See, in the late 1800s with Elizabeth Cady Stanton, right? These women were not working women, okay? They were still housewives. And because they were housewives, their demands for equality, what they considered to be equality or better circumstances for women, were a lot different. You understand? It wasn't until the 1900s when women, during World War I, right? Women were starting to get more into the workforce, starting to change. Wars were going on, men were getting shipped off. Okay? So now, these women, their idea, you understand, of what's equality, what they want is changing. Now they want the birth control because they're working. They want to be able to terminate their pregnancy because they're working. You understand? And that's going to lead right up to Margaret Sanger pretty soon. So lock you. Where am I at? A trend of humanitarian reform in the mid-19th century broadened liberal support for criminalization because at that time, abortion was a dangerous procedure done with crude methods, few antiseptics, and high mortality rates. Again, that's another reason why in the mid-1800s, protecting women from the dangers of abortion was actually meant to control them and restrict them to the traditional childbearing role. Anti-abortion legislation was part of an anti-feminist backlash of the growing movements for suffrage, voluntary motherhood, and other women's rights in the 19th century. Finally, with the declining birth rate among whites in the late 1800s, the U.S. government and the eugenics movement warned against the danger of race suicide, urged white native-born women to reproduce. Budding industrial capitalism relied on women to be unpaid household workers, low-paid media workers, reproducers, and socializers of the next generation of workers. Without legal abortion, women found it more difficult to resist the limitations of these roles. Give me John chapter 10 and verse 10. Because this is where it's going to start to shift. This is really where it's about to get.
Chapter 10, verse 10. The thief cometh not, but for to steal, and to kill, and to destroy. I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly.
Right. This thief comes to steal, to kill, and to destroy. You understand? This is not about saving lives, helping anyone, certainly not helping black people. You understand? It's not about, increasing your, what they say, your, your potential, or whatever the case may be. This is about making sure that blacks and Hispanics and Native Indians that their numbers stay at a good level. You know what I'm saying? What you got on?
Just like Egypt.
Coming on come.
It was like forcefully killing us because of our population growth. You know what I'm saying?
Come.
Throughout those years, we got brainwashing and doing that.
Right, Most High in Christ. That's exactly what happened in Egypt. You know what I'm saying? We was growing in Egypt. You know what I'm saying? We was growing. And they said, oh, they didn't say lie, because whatever, I don't know, Igbo, African Hamite stuff they spoke in Egypt. You know what I'm saying? It was clear. So you know what that is? I know it's an Exodus, but God, if you can, Bible, shut up. Let's read that one. I think it was in, what's the name of that wasn't Goshen. What was the name of that city we had in Egypt? Or was it Goshen? Salaki. I think they had the midwives.
That's it now. That's it. There's 1
and 19. I mean, it's probably before that, but I know this is. I think he started
14, 15.
Started verse 5. If you can, but whoever got it now. It's a lot. So you gotta read the Exodus chapter 1, verse 5.
The book of Exodus, chapter 1, verse 5. And all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob.
Right, so we're talking about Israelites. Talking about Israel. Go ahead.
Were 70 souls. For Joseph was in Egypt already.
Joseph had already been down in Egypt. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Verse 6.
12 sons, right? Sons, they died. You know what I'm saying? Naphtali, Manasseh. Well, Manasseh is Joseph's son. Judah. You know what I'm saying? All of Jacob's brothers died. And it's like all of Joseph's brothers died in himself. Go ahead.
Verse 7. And the children of Israel were fruitful.
The children of Israel were what?
Fruitful.
The children of Israel were fruitful. What does that mean? Yeah,
they were increasing by population.
He was having mad babies. Mad babies. Just babies all over the place. Kind of like in the I.S.U.P.K, right? We fruitful in here, right? We having a baby boom right now. Just brothers is just, you know what I'm saying? Every time I turn on the Facebook, somebody else is having a child, or, you know what I'm saying? Something like that. It's a beautiful thing that's happening. But that's what happened. We was fruitful. We was living in Egypt, but we were fruitful. Go ahead.
And increased abundantly and multiplied.
And multiplied. Go ahead.
And waxed exceedingly mighty.
And waxed exceeding mighty. We was getting strong. We was having all them babies. Them babies was coming up young warriors, man. Princesses. We was getting strong in that land. Go ahead.
And the land was filled with them.
Oh my God, it was overran with niggas. And what they call niggas and spicks. It was overran. It was a bunch of us, Native Indians, all together. Good night. Keep reading.
Verse 8. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph.
A new king. He didn't know Joseph. And Joseph had already died, but this new king didn't know nothing about that relationship that Joseph had with the Pharaoh when he came into the land of Egypt, right? You know what I'm saying? And he interpreted those dreams for him. And he was given a high rank, a high seat. Go ahead.
And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we.
What?
Are more and mightier than we.
There's more of them, and because there's more of them, they're stronger than us. Well, they're stronger than us anyway. But they're stronger than us, and there's more of them. Like, this is bad. This don't look good. Keep going, brother.
Come on. Verse 10, Salakia. Come on, let us deal wisely with them.
Let us do what?
Deal wisely with them.
Let us deal wisely with them. Let's be smart about this, okay? Let's put some tactics in place because we cannot have a bunch of them overrunning us. We don't.
And it come to pass.
Skip the part, Salakia.
So
Let's
say multiply.
Read from top, verse 10.
Verse 10. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply.
Let us deal wisely with them unless they multiply. Go ahead.
And it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemy.
Drop that. Okay, but yeah, so we had grown. They didn't want us to grow in numbers, man. So actually, no, Salaki, first jump down to, that's what they made us a server regular. Jump down to verse, Salaki,
15.
come, verse 15.
Verse 15. And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of one was Shipra, and the name of the other Pua. Verse 16. And he said, when ye do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live.
Good night.
Verse 17.
Salaki, why was that? Yeah, that one.
Because you're the seed of your father.
Most High in Christ. Because you're the seed of your father. Meaning what? If you kill all the boys, right? You call it all the sons, right? The sons come out, kill them. And you just leave the daughters. What's gonna happen? Go ahead, huh?
They're going to have sex with the heathen and increase the heathen instead of the Israelites.
Most High in Christ. Because I don't want to say you're the seed of your father. So if there's no more seed bearers, then there's no more what?
Seed, no more children.
Meaning there's no more
Israel.
There's no more Israel, right? We know in Psalm 83, you know what I'm saying, they're taking crafty counsel. You know what I'm saying, that the name of Israel, Yasha'Allah, may be no more remembrance, right? So the water, I don't want to bring that out. This history, it goes even back to Egypt. You know what I'm saying? Where they was forcing abortions on us. That was a little bit more of a forced thing. Now these sisters was tawab because they didn't go ahead and do it. You know what I'm saying? They said they feared the Most High. So they was together. I don't know.
Is this also how Moses was sent? Is that story completely accurate? They say his mother took Moses, put him down the river, he landed on Pharaoh's steps.
I mean, as far as the imagery of it like that, I'm not sure how accurate. Like, I know he was put in the basket, and I know that it was to avoid him being killed by the Egyptians. Right. That I know is true. But as far as like whether he literally floated to the Pharaoh's steps and all that, I know it was Pharaoh's daughter, right? I'm not too sure about that. You know what I'm saying? I got to get clarification on that. But I do know, yeah, they was trying to kill Moses. You know what I'm saying? They was damn sure trying to kill Moses. So Salakia, we jump back to this article. Good night. Right? Margaret, now we'll talk about Margaret Sanger, racist and eugenics extraordinary. Recent articles have reported, and we mentioned her before, as you know what I'm saying, being one of the proponents in the United States. She was the main proponent in the United States, you know what I'm saying, of pushing, you know what I'm saying, birth control, trying to teach women, you know what I'm saying, and trying to make legal changes that would allow it, you know what I'm saying, to be taught to women and such. Recent articles have reported on an unearthed video from 1947 of Margaret Sanger demanding no more babies for 10 years in developing countries. A couple of years ago, Margaret Sanger was named one of Time magazine's 20 most influential Americans of all time. Giving her enduring influence, it's worth considering what the woman who founded Planned Parenthood contributed to the eugenics movement. Sanger shaped the eugenics movement in America and beyond in the 1930s and 1940s. Her views of those of her peers in the movement contributed to compulsory sterilization laws in 30 U.S. states that resulted in more than 60,000 sterilizations of vulnerable people, including people of color who she considered feeble-minded idiots and morons. A lot going on there. What exactly is eugenics? Does anybody know? Yeah.
The control of the gene pool
Okay.
and to direct it in a certain manner.
Mm-hmm. What you got on?
It's the science of improving a human population by controlled breeding to increase the occurrence of desirable heritable characteristics, developed largely by Francis Galton as a method of improving the human race. It fell into disfavor only after the preservation of its doctrines by the Nazis.
Ooh, wee. Good night. It fell into, what's that word?
Disfavor.
Disfavor. Basically, it looked bad. It didn't look good no more. You know what I mean? It was already talking about those things. You can actually watch, whoever saw Django. Django, you know, Calvin, if you watch that movie, Calvin Candy was a proponent of eugenics. That's why he was looking at the skull, and there was a different science involved in the biology, but that's kind of where it started. Like, oh, well, if you look at the skull of a Negro versus the skull of a white man, the Negro has dimples here, and the white man has this, and the brains of the Negro, and that eventually led to eugenics, where it's like, well, we need to do some selective breeding to breed these, what they would call deficiencies, out of the human population. Okay? So lock you. Here's another article I'm gonna get into real fast as we talk about Margaret Sanger. It was 100 years ago. This is an article from 2016. On October 16th, 1916, that Margaret Sanger opened the first birth control clinic in the United States. An advocate for women's reproductive rights, who was also a vocal eugenics enthusiast, Margaret Sanger leaves a complicated legacy, and one that can serve as a preoperative leverage and sweeping attacks from the organization she helped found, Planned Parenthood. Now, jot down Salakia. This is a quote from a 1939 letter. Now, this is interesting to me for so many reasons, right? This particular article, don't get it twisted. This article is almost trying to defend her. But listen, I'm gonna read straight through. We're gonna see what she said, right? Much of this says, historians and scholars who've examined Sanger's correspondence in 2011 challenged those who call the activist racist. They're trying to say she wasn't racist, but let's see what she said. Much of the controversy stems from a 1939 letter in which Sanger outlined her plan to reach out to Black leaders, specifically ministers. This is Time Magazine, people. Margaret Sanger. This is the part where they're admitting that they're not even getting to the part where they're trying to defend her and say, "Oh, she's not racist yet." Admittedly, she sent a letter out where she said she wanted to speak specifically to Black leaders. And when she specified those leaders, she said ministers, so that way she can push birth control and abortion on Black women. Let's continue. To help dispel community suspicions about the family planning clinic she was opening in the South. What family planning clinics are they talking about? What are they called? I don't want. Get that brother a hand. It says, much of the controversy stems from a 1939 letter in which Sanger outlined her plan to reach out to Black leaders, specifically ministers, to help dispel community suspicions about the family planning clinic she was opening in the South. Before we even get into it, there's so much going on here. What jumps out to you when you read that? Yeah.
Christianity is a hell of a drug.
That's facts. That is a fact. It's a hell of a, and she knew that. That's why she wanted to go to the Christian pastor. Like they do now. If you want Black people to do something, who do you go to? Christian pastor. Yeah.
It's something this guy Buttigieg, who's running for the president, he's a faggot. Mm-hmm. He wasn't doing good among Blacks, so he called in this pastor from Chicago, to help him, get in with the Black community for votes and shit. So,
every president has done it. Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, Trump did it. Yeah. Trump did it. Like he had Black preachers coming up.
A whole group of.
Yeah, like Christians for Trump. Like, You understand? This is common practice. If you want to get black people to do something, you know what I'm saying? You go to the Christian pastor because they unfortunately look at him as a leader. When in the I.S.U.P.K, since 1969, we've been teaching the truth that he's a disgusting bastard. And that is the last person you want to go to for any kind of guidance. Because guess what? You're going to go to him and all he's going to do is molest your kids anyway. No sweat. So now, it says to help dispel community suspicion. What does that tell you? Salakia. Why would she need to dispel community suspicion?
Because they were suspicious.
Most of Christ, brother, no, does that sound like white people now? Like, no, like now we just whatever, like, we just come on with it. Oh, you want to give us some Obama? We'll take that. Donald Trump, we'll take that. Oh, Kanye's, 1 minute you mad at Kanye because he said something about slavery. Now he's a Christian pastor. Kanye, are we cool with you again? You can dance? You can take a little soup? You go home. You know what I'm saying? We had a thing called suspicion. We had a little bit of a community where it was like, I don't know about this. You know what I'm saying? Wait a minute, what is this about? So, she wanted to get Planned Parenthoods in black neighborhoods in the South, so she went to the Christian pastor. And this is what she wrote in this article, in this letter. She wrote, we do not want word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population. And the minister is the man who can straighten out that idea if it ever occurs to any of their more rebellious members. She wrote. Margaret Sanger. This is the person responsible for Planned Parenthood in the neighborhood, right? She started it, she created it. She said, we do not want word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population. And the minister is the man who can straighten out that idea if it ever occurs to any of their more rebellious members. Well, if she's not racist, right? Because that's what the article's trying to say. If you read on, it says it was, as the Washington Post called it, an inartfully written sentence, but one that, in context, describes the sort of preposterous allegations she feared, not her actual mission. Right? So they're trying to say, well, she just worded it bad. You know, she didn't really mean she wanted to exterminate Negroes. She just was trying to say the exact opposite. She doesn't want people to think she wants to exterminate Negroes. That's what this article is particularly saying. We know that that's nonsense, right? One of the ways we know that's nonsense is because what?
Because
right.
The best way to know is to watch the effect of it.
Mm-hmm. Well,
And the effect of it is genocide.
Mm-hmm.
On our people.
Right.
And we have become the predominant acceptors of this policy.
Right. The fact of the matter is we know it's nonsense because what's happening to black people? They're being exterminated. That's what's happening. Planned Parenthood is exterminating Negroes. That's it. Like, it's very simple. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, if you look at what she said, you know what I'm saying? She said that the minister is the man who can straighten out that idea if it ever occurs to any of their more rebellious members. Shows you that even back then, the Christian pastor was being used to pacify us.
And it's proof that they set up the whole Christian religion for this purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the purpose for setting it up was to have these pastors there, so whenever they needed to go in and come with a policy that and make it acceptable to blacks, they would always go to the pastor.
Right. That's exactly what it is. They knew who to go to, you know what I'm saying, because they knew who had, again, the power of persuasion. Power of persuasion to convince you. That's why she said they're more rebellious members, right? Because it's like, you know what I'm saying, like the scripture said about binding strong men. Because a person who's rebellious who ain't gonna just fall for anything, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna be like, we read another one, they're gonna be suspicious. They're gonna say, well, what's this about? Like, why do we need this? Why is this good for black people? Why is killing our babies a good thing? I don't understand. You understand? They're gonna ask questions like that. But the Christian pastor is gonna, you know what I'm saying, gonna use some nice smooth words like we love so much and completely get you off your game to where you won't even realize what's happening before you look up. Again, you won't even notice it, but before you look up, your babies are dying in the 200s of thousands every year. You know what I'm saying? So lock it. So now let me read this part right here. It says, Sanger's stated mission was to empower women to make their own reproductive choices. She did focus her efforts on minority communities. Good night. Because that was where, due to poverty and limited access to health care, women were especially vulnerable to the effects of unplanned pregnancy. As she framed it, birth control was the fundamental women's rights issue. Enforced motherhood, she wrote in 1914, is the most complete denial of a woman's right to life and liberty. Again, just absolutely vile and wicked, right? When the scriptures say, what about a woman in childbirth? Does the scripture say that childbirth will kill a woman? I mean, obviously, in certain circumstances, that can happen. But what does the scripture say about a woman and having children? So lucky. You find it real fast. Give me 1 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 15. Matter of fact, start at verse.
Say again, 2 and what? 1 Timothy.
1 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 20. I want you to start from. Come on. Yeah, start at verse 11. 1 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 11. Start there.
The book of 1
Because Mark is saying, we're trying to say that, it's about women's choice and women's rights and what women do and body and all this nonsense, right? And it's the best way, you know what I'm saying? She said it's all about a woman exercising her right to have her personal autonomy, being who she wants to be. Well, let's see what the Bible says about a woman's choice. Go ahead and read that out.
The book of 1 Timothy, chapter 2, verse 13.
Verse 11. So to verse 11.
Verse 11. Let the woman learn in silence and with all subjection.
Let the woman learn in silence with all subjection, right? So already we setting the precedent right here that when a woman is learning something, she's supposed to be silent and learn. You know what I'm saying? She's not supposed to be talking loud and you know what I mean? That's not how it was set up. Keep going. Read verse 12.
Verse 12. But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man.
Nor to usurp authority. To usurp is to take, to challenge. Nor to challenge, you know what I'm saying? Or try to take authority from the man. Go ahead.
But to be in silence.
I don't hear nothing about women's rights yet. Keep going.
Verse 13. For Adam was first formed, then Eve.
Right? Adam was first formed, then Eve. Again, they weren't the first people on the planet, you know what I'm saying? But Adam was the one who was giving the laws, man. Adam was the one that the Most High was dealing with directly. Keep going.
And Adam was not deceived.
It wasn't Adam who was deceived. Go ahead.
But the woman being deceived was in transgression.
In the transgression. She was the one that brought the sin upon him. Keep going.
Verse 15.
Let's see what it says about a woman giving birth. Go ahead.
Notwithstanding,
that means nonetheless. Go ahead.
She shall be saved in childbearing.
She shall be what?
Saved in childbearing.
She shall be saved in childbearing. Keep going.
If they continue in faith and charity and holiness with sobriety.
Man, a woman having a child is a beautiful thing, man. In the I.S.U.P.K, we understand that. We are, fully equipped with these wives that we got up in here, man. You know what I'm saying? We are trying to be fruitful. The scripture is one of the first commandments we were given, to be fruitful and multiply. And that's what we are all about. You know what I'm saying? Women having babies is her crowning achievement. You understand? Don't listen. That's why we read Envy Thou Not the Oppressor. Don't listen to these lies, man, that these feminists tell you about how, you as a woman, that the more you can go against the man, the better you are. The more you can be be a loudmouth, a dragon, that the better you are. The more you can challenge a man, the better you are. The more you go against your natural faculties as a woman and having children, the better you are. And if you don't have children, that you're better. Those are lies, and it's not in the Bible. Read that part again, verse 15.
Notwithstanding, she shall be saved in childbearing, if they continue in faith and in charity and holiness and with sobriety. Right.
Now, we're going to continue a little bit with Mark is saying before I kind of jump down a little bit further, and then closing out on this particular part of abortion history. We haven't even got up to Roe versus Wade. We're talking early history now. So like it. But so like when you read this part. It says, that's not to say that, this is again Time Magazine, that's not to say that Sanger didn't also make some deeply disturbing statements in support of eugenics. The now discredited movement to improve the overall health and fitness of humankind through selective breeding. She did, and very publicly, in a 1921 article, she wrote that the most urgent problem today is how to limit and discourage the overfertility of the mentally and physically defective. She was not alone, of course, in this viewpoint. In the 1920s and 1930s, eugenics enjoyed widespread support from mainstream doctors and scientists, the general public, right? Oh wait, I gotta jump down to this part right here. I always like to read this part because it's so to the point that we're making, right? In 1966, Martin Luther King Jr. made clear that he agreed that Sanger's life's work was anything but inhumane. In 1966, when King received Planned Parenthood's Margaret Sanger Award in Human Rights, he praised her contributions to the Black community.
Oh my God.
This is a quote from him. There is a striking kinship between our movement and Margaret Sanger's early efforts, he said. Margaret Sanger had to commit what was then called a crime in order to enrich humanity, and today we honor her courage and vision. This is the words of Michael Salakia. Yeah,
I know a woman in Harlem, she marched with Martin Luther King, she got arrested with him and everything. They got arrested with Martin Luther King, they would take Martin Luther King out the back door, and everybody else would be standing there, they would just take a picture of him. And then,
good night.
No, that's what she told me.
I believe it.
Yeah, me too, I believe it too.
Yeah, I damn sure believe that.
She said they should take him out the back, take a picture of him in prison first, in jail first, or let him stay overnight, but he would be taken care of, and then they would sneak him out the back.
Good night. I am not shocked.
And she's a Christian, she said she didn't have no respect for Martin Luther King.
Woo! Not shocked, man. But Martin Luther King was down with Margaret Sanger. He was down with the get down whole slide. I got one more article I gotta go to. It's the NYU.
We got played, man.
So lock it.
We got played.
Lock it.
You've been bamboozled.
Yeah. Martin Luther King was down with all this shit from the gate, man. I didn't know that. You know, like, damn. I know. He was Israelite, but he was a fucking Pharisee. He was the fucking chief Pharisee. Right?
Yeah, no, somebody said something like that. Like, it's black. Like, you were supposed to take it.
What the hell? Good night.
I thought it was funny.
He was an Israelite.
He was.
That shows the mentality of a Christian. And he was, so-called top Christian in America at the time.
That's your boy, man. OG Mike was down with him, right? Now here's a little bit more on it. This is more about Margaret Sanger. She even presented at a Ku Klux Klan rally in 1926 in Silver Lake, New Jersey. She recounted this event in her autobiography. I accepted an invitation to talk to the women branch of the Ku Klux Klan. I saw through the door dim figures parading with banners and illuminated crosses. I was escorted to the platform, was introduced, and began to speak. In the end, through simple illustrations, I believed I had accomplished my purpose. A dozen invitations to speak to similar groups were pro-offered, right? She generated enthusiasm among some of America's leading racists, and it says something about the content and tone of her remarks. You know what I'm saying? So again, they try so badly to paint this woman as like Tawab in some way. But if you take everything, she was down with Martin Luther King and she was trying to get the Christians so she can come in the neighborhood with Planned Parenthood. She's down with the eugenics movement. She's speaking at KKK rallies. What else do you need? Like, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, we go up on the podium, say all kind of things about black man, you the greatest, black woman, you the greatest, you know what I mean? Black people, we love you, like just, Lord, you the greatest people on earth. Most High chose you. And we just say one thing about, oppressing the devil. Y'all racist. Y'all violent. There's so much hatred. All I'm hearing is so much hatred from you guys. We just sat here and told you that black people are the greatest people on earth. We told you that brother. You know what I'm saying? We told you all these great about how much we love black people, about how much we love Hispanic people, and Native Indian people, but we're racist. And you know what's funny? They don't even look at black people and Native Indians as the same, or black people and Hispanic people as the same, but we know we're the same, right? But we love black people, Hispanic people, Native Indian people, and they still sit up there calling us racist. Well, don't you think that they're another race from us? You see three niggas standing up there talking about we love Native Indians. You're racist. How? Like, you don't even think they're the same race as us, but we love them. So we're only racist because we don't like you, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? That's how that works. You know what I mean? But this woman, Salaki, eugenics, KKK, Planned Parenthood, 200,000 abortions. She wasn't really racist. You know, she wasn't. She just misspoke. You didn't understand what she was trying to say. She actually really cared about black people. Good night. That's how they treat them. In order, Salaki, brother, give me Ezekiel 35:5. Give me Ezekiel 35:5. Because like we said before, a murderer from the beginning, only to steal and to kill. You know what I mean? And all of this is also dealing with scripture. I'm not going to go to it. I don't just bombard you with scripture. But what's the one where it says, you know what I'm saying? He's the most subtle beast of the field, man. This is subtlety right here.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 35, verse 5.
This is subtlety when you got somebody literally killing you, 200,000 of you every year, and you are convinced that this is a person who cares about you. This is a person who loves you. This is the person who is your friend. This is the person who you should admire. Good night. And then you see that this person was attached to that other, you know what I'm saying, other cat, or Mike. And we try to tell you the truth about him, but you won't accept it. They got a statue of him in Washington, D.C. Are you kidding me? What other proof do you need? Do they normally put statues of niggas up in Washington, D.C.? Is that normal? Do they normally put statues of niggas and wetbacks and spicks up in Washington, D.C.? Do they do that? So if this, now when he was alive, on the news, they were showing you, they were throwing bricks at him and water bottles and sicking dogs. Now there's a statue of him. Something ain't adding up. You understand? Go ahead and read that out.
Verse 5. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel.
Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred. It's been continuing and continuing and continuing. They're always finding new ways to destroy you. Right? Slavery, we can go back to the late 1400s, 1500s. You understand? The 14th century. Sorry, it's like the 16th century. You know what I'm saying? We can go back to that. You know what I mean? Slavery back then. Chattel slavery and how it led up and kept going and kept going. You know what I'm saying? Transatlantic slave trade. You know what I'm saying? All throughout the Americas. Then Civil War. Oh, we died on both sides of that war as well. Then Reconstruction, again, Black codes, Jim Crow. And now we're talking about this, just another device. It's just another cog in the machine. Just another, the devil, you know what I'm saying, has many, you know what I'm saying, faculties. There's many arms to the wickedness that he perpetuates throughout the world. You understand? He'll give you a little bit of LGBTQ community that destroys you. He'll give you a little bit of abortion that destroys you. He'll give you a little bit of drugs that destroy you. You know what I'm saying? He'll give you a little bit of food that destroys you. You know, all kind of chemicals and things like that. He'll give you a little bit of everything, and all of it is to destroy you, and you'll gladly just gobble it up. Yeah, that's got it on.
Yeah, he won't even admit that he's killed. Like how you saying with
Come.
the woman, they said she clearly does all this stuff that kills us.
Come.
And like we're still saying, oh, it's trying to help black
people. Right.
Like what is Zechariah 11:5.
Come.
If I'm not mistaken, it said, "Who possesses slay them and hold themselves not guilty."
Come. That's exactly how they do it, man. That's subtlety. It's like they gotta creep in unawares, you know what I'm saying, so that you think that they're your friend. And this is the real, you know, the heavy part about it is crazy. Like you're saying, Adawan, is that it just don't stop. Like, I mean, and that's that Stockholm syndrome we talk about, where they keep doing it, they keep doing something different, and we keep falling for the okie doke again and again. Every different device they got. Now you got blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians embracing, you know what I'm saying, that LGBTQ and all of that. They embracing it and thinking that it's something that's, you know what I'm saying, that's too hard for them. It's going to benefit them. Oh, it's freedom. You know what I'm saying? We just want to be free. Why don't we come back to these laws, statutes, and commandments, man? Why don't we learn true love according to the Bible? You know what I'm saying? Why don't we learn how to love each other, how to care about each other? You know what I'm saying? Not suffer sin upon your brother. Why don't we learn that? You know what I mean? And really act like we want to change and be better in this place. You know what I'm saying? And take them crowns that are deserved of us. You know what I mean? But if we want to keep envying our oppressor, well, guess what? We're going to be right where we're supposed to be, because the oppressor hates your guts. You know what I'm saying? He hates your guts, so you're going to stay at the bottom. And you're going to think that it's heaven. What you got? Keep going out. Read it from the top. What you got?
Because thou hast had, the book of Ezekiel, chapter 35, verse 5. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity and in the time that their iniquity had an end. Therefore, verse 6.
You can drop that. I'm going to read this little part right here. We're almost done. Now we're getting to the mid-1900s, where abortion started, the legality started to be. Okay, that's mine, but yeah, it's like so. In the 1950s, about 1 million illegal abortions a year were performed in the U.S., and over 1,000 women died each year as a result. Women who were victims of botched or unsanitary abortions came in desperation to hospital emergency wards, where some died of widespread abdominal infections. Many women who recovered from such infections found themselves sterile or chronically and painfully ill. The enormous emotional stress often lasted a long time. Poor women and women of color ran the greatest risk with illegal abortion. In 1969, 75% of the women who died from abortions, most of them illegal, were women of color. Of all legal abortions in that year, 90% were performed on their white private patients. Yet again, just the disparaging conditions, the gaps in healthcare, such and such. Now, isn't that interesting? Now, these women were dying from these illegal abortions. So, in the guise of trying to protect them in the community and help them, Margaret Sanger came along and was trying to say, well, listen, basically, you know, abortions, we think it's a better way to go about it. It's a safer way to go about it. I want to set up clinics that make it so you can, you know, if you need an abortion, you can get it done, but under better conditions. Sounds real smooth, don't it? Sounds real nice, like really caring person. It's not somebody that cares about you at all. If somebody really cared about you, they'd be like, you know what? How about you don't abort your babies? You know what I'm saying? Like, don't do that because it'll destroy your family. You'll regret it. How many women have psychological issues when they lose a child? You understand? I know women who have had that done, and they still have, you know what I'm saying, a hard on themselves when it comes to that. You know what I mean? So Margaret Sanger was not a friend of any kind. Okay? So now we're going to get into a couple of numbers here. Social scientists aren't sure why Black attitudes toward abortion have changed. One theory is that as more Blacks migrated out of the conservative Deep South and settled in other regions of the country with more liberal views on reproductive rights, the attitudes changed accordingly. That's one theory. Of course, we also know that Margaret Sanger did bring those Planned Parenthoods down to the South with the help of people like Martin Luther King and other Christian pastors, right? So that, of course, helped as well. Another possibility is that people with higher incomes and more education tend to be pro-choice. And since the early 1970s, the socioeconomic status of Blacks has increased dramatically. Not quite true, you know what I'm saying? It's gone up, but it hasn't changed in terms of its relation to other races. Go ahead.
You know, this popped in my mind, like when I was a teenager and whenever the girls got pregnant, right, like their mothers would send them down south for the abortions and shit.
Right.
So now I understand why they
Because
did
that's
that.
what Margaret Sanger really got her first leg. You know what I'm saying? That's where she really wanted to start so she could target the Black community. We read that in Time Magazine. That's not something that we're making up. Time Magazine said themselves, yes, Margaret Sanger targeted minority communities, which in 1939 meant Black people. You know what I'm saying? There wasn't a whole plethora of Chinatowns, you know what I'm saying, and little Italy. I mean, little Italy was here, but there wasn't a whole plethora of little Chinatowns and little Indias, and you know what I'm saying? Minorities was Black people and Hispanics. You know what I'm saying? Salakia. What's not in doubt is the outsized toll that abortion has taken on the Black population post-Roe. In New York City, thousands more Black babies are aborted than born alive each year. And the abortion rate among Black mothers is more than 3 times higher than it is for white mothers. According to a City Health Department report released in May between 2012 and 2016, Black mothers terminated 136,426 pregnancies and gave birth to 118,127 babies. That's in New York. By contrast, births far surpassed abortions among whites, Asians, and Hispanics. That's what we read before. Again, we read it in 2017 in total. 2 million white children born, live births, and about 238,000 abortions. But Black women, it's about 250,000 abortions and only about 500,000 live births. So lucky. Nationally, Black women terminate pregnancies at far higher rates than other women as well. In 2014, 36% of all abortions were performed on Black women, who are just 13% of the female population. The little discussed flip side of reproductive freedom is that abortion deaths, violent crime, heart disease, AIDS, and accidents. Racism, poverty, and lack of access to healthcare are the typical explanations for these disparities. But Black women have much higher abortion rates even after you control for income. Moreover, other low-income ethnic minorities who experience discrimination, such as Hispanics, abort at rates much closer to white women than Black women. Again, Hispanics, it's closer, but it's not close to them. It's just closer. You know what I'm saying? They still abort at a much higher rate than white women. Okay? And actually, Salakia, if I may, I saw an article today. I think I screenshotted it. Let me see if I got it right here. Yes, this is an article I saw. I'm not going to read it, but it says abortion leading cause of death in 2018 with 41 million killed. Now this is a worldwide, supposedly. By contrast, 8.2 million people died from cancer. So 40 million abortions performed in the course of a year on the entire planet Earth, so to speak. I don't know about how inflated those numbers are, how accurate they are, but nonetheless, we do know that abortion is debatable whatsoever. Brother, if you can, Baba Bishop, get the lock it. Give me Psalm 104 verse 30. Psalm 104 and 30.
The book of Psalms, chapter 104, verse 30. Thou sendest forth thy spirit, they are created, and thou renewest the face of the earth.
Most High sends forth the spirit, man. These abortions, this whole argument about whether or not it's alive and if it's a child, and that is ridiculous and stupid and dumb. Okay, when conception takes place, you know what I'm saying, what's in there is alive. You know what I'm saying? The spirit is in it. You know what I'm saying? The Most High sent. Read it again. Take your time, bro.
Thou sendest forth thy spirit. They are created.
Right, that's how it works. The spirit goes down, spirit goes in the body. You know what I'm saying? The earth is renewed. Drop that. Get me Psalms 100, Psalms 100 and verse 3.
The book of Psalms, chapter 100, verse 3.
Versus pro-life, and about pro-choice versus pro-life, because it's not your choice. You know what I'm saying? Not only did we already read the scripture, man, a woman's supposed to be in subjection to a man. You know what I'm saying? The woman, we'll get another scripture in a second on that, but read that one, Psalms 100 verse 3.
Know ye that the Lord, he is Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
It is he that hath made us.
It's who?
It is he that has made us.
Oh, it's the woman.
It is he that has made us.
Go ahead.
And not we ourselves.
We and not we ourselves. Go ahead.
We are his people and the sheep of his pasture.
If you're a black woman, Hispanic woman, and Dominican woman, you don't have a goddamn right to have an abortion. You don't have a right to terminate that pregnancy. First off, you need to be, the first thing, before we even talk about the fact that it's the Most High's, right? And neither one of us has a choice. Before you do anything, you should be consulting who? Your husband. That's first and foremost. You know what I'm saying? You don't make decisions on your own. When you open Salakia, is being real, when you open up them legs, you decided to forego the right to do whatever the hell you wanted to do.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And even before that, a woman is still be in subjection. You know what I'm saying? She's still supposed to, you know what I mean, follow orders and understand that, you know what I mean, she has to be up under the authority of someone in some way. If she don't got a husband, you know what I'm saying, then she's still under the authority of the Most High in Christ. You know what I'm saying? In what way? She should need to come up into school. You don't got to, you know what I'm saying, she doesn't have to. If you don't want a husband, you don't got to have one. You want to stay single for the rest of your life? Do you? Most High in Christ. But guess what? You're still going to be under the authority of the Most High in Christ through school. You know what I'm saying? You still might be called upon if brothers need some garments. You might be called upon if brothers need some food cooked for the Sabbath service. You know what I mean? There's still an order and structure involved. That does not go away. We're all under the authority of something in some capacity. You know what I mean? Again, this is what the scriptures say. Every man is under Christ. Every single one of us is under Christ. And we end up in the one body, we got a ranking system that we're all under. I'm under every single 500. Every 500 is under every 1,000. Every 1,000 is under every 5,000. All the way up past the captains and generals, all the way up to Commander Johanna, up to Christ Most High. You understand? You can't escape that. So none of us, so there is no, that whole free will thing, there is no free will. You understand? That's not a thing, really, according to the Bible.
That's right.
You know what I mean? You're going to be under the you know what I mean, the direct, you know what I'm saying, line of some kind of authority head in some capacity, period. You can't escape. You know what I mean? So like, but I had you holding something else, or was that the end of that? Was it in the Psalm 103?
Yes. So like,
You too are. Go ahead and give me when I was just speaking of, give me 1 Corinthians 11 and 3. They say abortion is self. I saw a poster that said abortion is self-care. Ooh-wee. Good night. With black people on it. Why am I not surprised? Go ahead, Art.
the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 11, verse 3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ.
All right, so I can't do anything if Christ didn't say it. I can do it. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Christ came not of his own will, but the will of his Father, which we'll get further to in this verse. But the Most High set down the law that said that I cannot. What's something I can't? A pork chop sandwich, right? Seems simple enough. I don't have a choice. Now, when I say I don't have a choice, if there's a pork chop sandwich, it won't be in this school, but if there's a pork chop sandwich outside somewhere, can I physically pick it up and bite it? Pause. Yes, I can do that, right? But know what? I can't do it and live. I can't do it and be in here. I can't do what I want to do and still, you know what I'm saying, be protected by the Most High. I can't do that and still claim to be a child of the Most High. I can't do that. That don't go together. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean when I say there's no free will. You don't have a choice. Yeah, you physically can do it. But go ahead. You know what I'm saying? You can physically be a homosexual and you will also physically get AIDS. You can physically eat bacon and pork, and you will physically get worms and all kinds of cancerous things going on in that region. You know what I'm saying? You can do it. You know what I mean? But the Most High set up a certain way that we are supposed to be. Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians, we can't do whatever we want. You know what I'm saying? Leave that to the heathens, man. Let them do. Let they want to get abortions at the rate of, if they want to have 2 million abortions and 1 live birth a year, Most High in Christ, that's them. We cannot do that. You understand? What you got out?
I'm holding 11:3, 1 Corinthians 11:3.
Can I read it from the top one more time?
But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man.
The head of what?
The head of the woman is the man.
No, the head of the woman is the woman.
The head of the woman is the man.
No, the head of the man is the woman.
The head of the woman is the man.
Ooh-wee. Keep going.
And the head of Christ is the Most High.
The head of the woman is the man. Okay, so you damn sure, I mean, before we even get to the Most High, you don't got a choice, because you got to listen to that husband. Right? You got to listen to that husband. And that, you know who the husband is? Some of you might be saying, well, I don't got a husband. I mean, I'm pregnant, but I don't got a husband. No, that's a goddamn lie. If you pregnant, you got a husband. You understand? You know what I mean? You carry this child as we speak. That's your husband. You understand? So, Lucky, let me see if it's class. That's not good. Let's see, Lamentations 4, Salakia. Oh, snap, no sweat. Oh, we wait this last one, we're gonna close out Salakia. My brother, Kim. Salakia. So give me Lamentations chapter 4 and verse 3. It's gonna be the last one.
The book of Lamentations, chapter 4, verse 3.
This is the one I want.
Even the sea monster draw out the breast.
Even the sea monster draws out the breast. Ooh, man. Even the sea monster has compassion for their children. You understand? Even the sea, a vicious, you know what I'm saying, a killer whale. You know what I mean? Keep going.
They give suck to their young ones.
Yeah, they feed their babies. Go ahead.
The daughter of my people has become cruel.
The daughter of what?
The daughter of my people is become cruel.
The black woman has become cruel. Hispanic woman has become cruel. Native Indian woman has become cruel. Even the animals have more compassion on their children, man. Even the so-called sea monsters. You understand? Keep going.
Like the ostrich one. Salakia. The daughters of my people has become cruel, like ostriches in the wilderness.
Good night. It's talking about the ostriches that leave the eggs out. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so that's a early part of abortion. We're gonna probably get into the second half of it next week. You know what I'm saying? Talk more about Roe versus Wade, the legal things going on. Talk about the political climate just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But this is just a brief history, you know what I'm saying, on how it really started going on in the country. You know what I mean? We're gonna pick it up again next week. With that, pass the class over to Priest Officer Yarmak.
Security announcements. We are the I.S.U.P.K. out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commander General Yohana. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or a sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. After 6 months, if a brother or a sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or a sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother or the sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. You can find this in Numbers chapter 18, verse 21, Malachi chapter 3, verse 8 through 10. It's 10 in the Hebrew, and it's pronounced I.S.U.P.K. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory, whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming holy convocation is the I.S.U.P.K. This is the date on that. This is December 20th. For Durham zone, more likely the feast will be held at this location. Officer Abraham will be getting out, that information as far as the bring. A little later, closer to that time comes. Understand? I.S.U.P.K, check social media such as I.S.U.P.K.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube is on for I.S.U.P.K events. As well as we got the feast of Hanukkah. We also got the Passover coming up, April 9th. And what is it? Plainsville? White Plains, New York. You understand? Commander General Yohana has generously rented out the Coliseum for not one night, but 2 nights. So we'll be able to hold the feast of unleavened bread right after we hold, the Passover. He also has booked out a room for the Akim and Aquathia to, be together inside the hotel room, so you don't gotta stay in the lobby. So you do want to make sure you start making your preparations for that as well. Start preparing to get those garments. You understand everything we're going to do as far as that, so we can rock it out as smoothly as possible. Other than that, understand, tune into the Durham classes Monday through Friday online here in this location. You understand, or online from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday.
Salaki, one more thing. Big up to, Officer 5000, not to Zion, Howard out there in South Carolina. He be holding that election coming up. I believe it's December 15th. Got the election coming up December 15th. We're going to get that location for you as soon as possible. We're going to post that. The election coming up on, Christianity, versus Black Revolution. We're going to be talking, he's going to be talking about how, Christianity has always, prevented Black people from excelling and getting, rebelling against the system that destroys them. Using some examples from slavery of situations where certain slave rebellions were halted, because of a Christian mentality on the part of some of our brothers and sisters at those times. So he's going to bring out that heavy topic, so look out for that December 15th in South Carolina. You got anything else on the line?
If a brother wants to be a trooper in the school, they need to start wearing all black, which includes black boots, shirts, pants, headband, or scarf. That logic. Just